Hello and welcome to Firstpost Africa, where we get you the top stories from the continent and from across the world. I am Joshua Barnes, live from the Firstpost studios. First, let's take a look at our headlines. Indian External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar meets US State Secretary Marco Rubio in Kuala Lumpur on the sidelines of the ASEAN summit. The duo discuss bilateral ties, regional and global issues. Donald Trump visits Japan for the second leg of his Asia tour. The Japanese emperor receives the Republican leader at the presidential palace in Tokyo ahead of his bilateral meeting with newly appointed Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi. Argentina's President Javier Milei vows economic reforms after securing a stunning victory in the country's midterm elections. The Argentine leader hails the win as a turning point. Hurricane Melissa strengthens into a top-level Category 5 storm as it heads to Jamaica, with catastrophic flooding predicted. The storm killed at least 4 people in Haiti and the Dominican Republic earlier this week. And Indian batsman Shreyas Iyer is admitted to hospital in Sydney after suffering an injury during the third ODI against Australia. His scans reveal internal bleeding in the ribcage. Our top story is from Cameroon, a Central African nation now mired in post-election violence. Cameroon's 92-year-old President Paul Biya has won the October 12th election, extending his 43-year rule over the country. The world's oldest serving head of state secured another term amid growing unrest. According to official results, Biya won with just over 53% of the vote. His rival, former government minister Issa Tchiroma Bakary, came second with around 35%. Ahead of the official announcement, protests intensified nationwide, with demonstrators condemning the anticipated outcome. Violence erupted across several regions as partial results pointed to Biya's victory. Supporters of Tchiroma, who claimed to be the true winner, clashed with police in multiple cities. In the commercial capital, Douala, demonstrators barricaded roads and set tyres ablaze. The governor said protesters attacked a branch of armed forces and police stations in 2 districts on Sunday. Police responded with tear gas and water cannons to disperse the crowds. At least 4 people have been killed in the clashes so far.
The Cameroonians have died. They have died. 43 years is a lot. We want change. We have to respect democracy. The power is in the people. It's the people who decide. It's not Go or Biya who decide. It's the people. It's the people. We have to respect the people's choice.
We're not here to fight with them. 43 years old in power, we're tired. What is this? We're citizens.
Clashes were also reported in Chiroma's hometown, Garua. For days, dozens of supporters have gathered outside of the opposition leader's residence. Tchiroma on Sunday claimed in a video that soldiers had tried to abduct him. Authorities have reportedly detained about 30 politicians and activists supporting his candidacy, further stoking tensions. Cameroon's Interior Minister said the arrests were linked to what he called an insurrectional movement. Significant internet disruptions have also been reported in recent days. Paul Biya, the world's oldest serving head of state, has ruled Cameroon since 1982. Another 7-year term would keep him in power until he is nearly 100 years of age. With over 60% of Cameroon's population under the age of 25, Biya remains deeply disconnected from the youth. Age and health have also become central issues in Biya's rule. He rarely appears in public, fueling speculation about his fitness to govern. His frequent trips abroad, often for medical reasons or extended stays at luxury hotels in Geneva, have drawn sharp criticism for misusing public funds. Despite rumours about his frail health and long absences, Paul Biya has had a firm grip on power, weathering waves of unrest, economic hardship and separatist conflict. But an 8th term could test that grip. The unrest now spreading through Cameroon hints at a nation losing patience with decades of unchanged leadership. Moving on now to Sudan, where the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces, or the RSF, appear to have taken control of Fasher, a key city which had been the final stronghold for the Sudanese army in the western Darfur region. The RSF released a video cheering its takeover. On Sunday, the RSF first announced the seizure of the army headquarters within the besieged city. Later, the governor of Darfur region confirmed that Rapid Support Forces now control the city.
The Sudanese people's right is in our hands, and we are now inside the 6th Infantry Division.
The paramilitary group have encircled the city for around 18 months as they have fought with the Sudanese army alongside other rebels and local fighters. Fasher has been under heavy bombardment during that time, with drone and artillery attacks. Meanwhile, the siege has led to starvation and suffering in the city, with 250,000 people still under fire. The encirclement has also made it difficult for the Sudanese army to resupply and reinforce its soldiers. The civil war in Sudan has been raging since April of 2023. Most of the east and the north of the country is controlled by the Sudanese army, including the capital Khartoum. Large parts of the western Darfur region and parts of the south are under RSF control. That position is only strengthened with the capture of Fasher. The RSF say this is a significant turning point.
Our forces managed to liberate the 6th Division in Fasher, breaking the back of the army and its allies by establishing full control over the strategic military base, a step on the path to building a new state that all Sudanese will participate in establishing according to their aspirations for freedom, peace and justice.
And with intensified fighting in the city, local medical staff say that dozens were killed on Sunday. The UN has called for an immediate ceasefire in Sudan, while warning of a terrifying situation in Fasher. The civil war in Sudan has created one of the world's worst humanitarian crises, with around 12 million people displaced, according to the UN. Tens of thousands of civilian casualties have been reported in the country, while accusations of murder, rape and other war crimes have been tabled against the RSF and in some instances against the Sudanese army. But what comes next in this devastating conflict? The door has been opened to potential peace. This latest flashpoint comes in the wake of Sudan's de facto leader, Army General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, agreeing to peace talks. It comes after months of refusal, with al-Burhan previously saying only defeat of the RSF will end the civil war. International condemnation over the fighting and humanitarian situation has also been growing. Earlier today, UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres said that outside interference is undermining the prospect of peace. Guterres called for a halt to the supply of weapons to the Sudanese army and RSF. So how will the fall of Fasher impact the pursuit of peace? The RSF have further strengthened their position over the Darfur region, which in turn could hasten the splitting of Sudan. But concerns continue over attacks on civilians. Thousands of children in Fasher face immediate death, according to the UN, who have pleaded for the safe passage of civilians out of the city. Much uncertainty remains, and we will keep you updated on all of the developments in Sudan as they happen. Now let's shift focus to diplomatic tensions between the US and Mali. Marking a thaw in ties, the US has removed the West African nation from its contentious visa bond list. The Trump administration had imposed conditions for travellers from Mali to post a bond of up to $10,000 to obtain a US visa. The list included several other African nations. The US said that the visa bond imposed was based on the overstay rate mentioned in the Department of Homeland Security's report. The move was aimed at ensuring that the visitors returned to their home countries. Mali was added to the list on October the 8th, and the curbs were set to come into effect on October the 23rd. However, the latest update list released by the US State Department did not include Mali. It had 6 other African countries. These include Mauritania, Tanzania, the Gambia, Malawi and Zambia. Their visa bond requirements implementation dates range from August to October of 2025. Citizens from these nations would be required to deposit a bond of up to $15,000 to obtain a B1 or B2 US visa. These are non-immigrant visas for foreign nationals visiting the country for business, tourism, vacation or medical treatment. The US policy change followed a tit-for-tat move from Bamako. Mali announced reciprocal measures for Americans, requiring them to post a $10,000 bond to get visas to visit the country. These measures came into effect on October the 12th. Mali also accused Washington of targeting Malian citizens unfairly.
In accordance with the principle of reciprocity, Mali has decided to introduce an identical visa program imposing the same conditions and requirements on U.S. nationals as those applied to Malian citizens.
In recent years, Mali has rejigged its international alliances. It has demonstrated a willingness to respond forcefully to external policy pressure, and the retaliatory move aligned with its policy, sending a message that the country would not accept unilateral measures. The visa bond policy was part of a crackdown launched by the Trump administration on illegal migrants. The US has also struck deals with several African nations to take migrants deported by the Trump administration. Mali is not among the signees. Critics allege that the US is using African nations as its dumping ground. However, Mali's reciprocality to the US actions marks a change in tone of how African nations respond to pressure from the West. And our last story is from Madagascar. 10 days after a military takeover, the ousted president has been stripped of his nationality. Andry, who was impeached after fleeing the island nation amid massive anti-government protests, has now been stripped of his Malagasy nationality by the new military government. The decree means he will no longer be eligible to contest future elections. The newly appointed Prime Minister signed the order. As per the decree, Rajoelina's Malagasy nationality was revoked because he had acquired French nationality in 2014. The order cites laws stating that any Malagasy who voluntarily obtains a foreign nationality automatically loses their citizenship. Rajoelina's French nationality sparked a major scandal when it was revealed ahead of the November 2023 elections, nearly 10 years after he had obtained it. The revelation prompted calls for his disqualification. But he went on to win the contested polls, which were boycotted by opposition parties. The 51-year-old politician fled Madagascar at the height of youth-led protests that swept through several cities. The demonstrations, which erupted over water and power cuts, spiraled into a wider campaign against the government. It also triggered a harsh crackdown by security forces that left 22 people dead and more than 100 injured, according to the United Nations. The unrest took a major turn when a military unit joined the anti-government rallies. Rajoelina said he had feared for his life and fled the nation. Just days later, the military seized control. Colonel Michael Randrianrina was sworn in as president. Madagascar has a long history of political turmoil and coups. The country gained independence from France in 1960. Rajoelina first rose to power after the 2009 coup. He led a transitional government that took control after then-President Marc Rajoelina fled the country. Ironically, the same military unit that helped Rajoelina seize power in 2009 has now ousted him. He has been accused of failing to deliver on promises of development. His poverty remains widespread in the island nation. Critics say his government failed to create jobs, control inflation, or improve living conditions. Rajoelina has also faced criticism for being too close to France, Madagascar's former colonial ruler. Opponents claim Paris continues to exert undue influence over the country's politics and economy. Madagascar's latest power shift adds to decades of political instability in the island nation. As the new government tightens its grip, the island nation faces an uncertain future, with questions looming over diplomacy, democracy, stability, and the role of foreign influence. That is all we have on the show. We will see you again tomorrow at the same time. Thank you very much for watching.